Today, my dad and I are leaving Springfield to help the people in Boston. Today is March 20th, 1770. My dad felt like he needed to help the people of Boston because of what happened in the Boston Massacre. My dad probably wishes I hadn't come since I'm only just about to be 12, but I wouldn't take no for an answer. I just think my dad wanted to keep me safe. He had another reason for going to Boston other than just to help. He was going to get revenge for my brother. My father wasn't the best at letting go of grudges. Even small things could stay with him for months. My brother Samuel was visiting Boston at the time of the massacre, and when the soldiers started firing into the crowd, he was hit and died. We got word of what happened from a friend my brother was staying with in Boston. My dad has never been the same since. When we arrived in Boston, I was tired and bored. The long trip hadn't been the most exciting thing I've done, but I'm so excited we finally made it. Drew, let's go see if Matthew has any room for us to stay, my dad said quickly. Matthew was the friend that my brother was staying with before he died. It took a while, but we found our way to where Matthew lives, thanks to some directions from my brother's that he sent us a week before the massacre. Matthew was glad to see we made it to Boston safely, and he quickly filled us in about what's been going on since we left home. The British soldiers involved in the shooting were put on trial, and a couple of them were found not guilty. I could see my dad's face was turning red. He wanted the soldiers to pay for what they did. After a bit more small talk, we made our way to the bedrooms. My dad was staying in a guest room, and I was in the kids' room. I hated the fact that I wasn't put in the other spare guest room Matthew had available. I don't like being thought of or treated as a kid. That's why I didn't want to take no for an answer about coming to Boston. I thanked Matthew for letting us stay without mentioning my hate for the room and started unpacking. It's been a little more than 5 years that my dad and I have been in Boston. My dad and I have been staying with Matthew the whole time we've been here and been thankful for every second. We first came here to help the people hurt in the massacre, but we stayed to help more people. My dad became a doctor's assistant, and I switched to a new school here in Boston. I'm 17 now and old enough to join the Army. 2 months ago when I turned 17, I signed up but haven't been called for anything. My dad still holds the grudge on the British for killing my brother, and I'm still stuck in the kids' room. Today is April 6, 1775. I received a letter from the general in charge of the regiment I would be called to if needed. The letter stated that I had not been selected to join the regiment, but I should join the militia in case I was needed. I joined the militia so that I could still be in the Army, but also be with my dad in Boston. 3 days later, I got a letter. The militia told me I was accepted and what supplies I needed to serve. They also told me that some of the more active men are heading to Lexington since they have a feeling something is about to happen. I decided to go with them to see what it was about. We arrived in Lexington a bit earlier than we expected, so I learned a little about the guys that came. They were all in their 30s and had no real reason for joining other than they just wanted to help out. When April 19th rolled around, the guys in my militia were all rested and ready for action. When the battle started, I realized how scared I actually was. There were about 500 of us and about 700 of them. I had never shot a musket before this week. One of the more experienced guys in our militia taught me a couple days ago. I felt that I wasn't ready and that my dad would just have one more grudge to hold on the British. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, I knew what I had to do. I peeked around the corner I was hiding behind and saw a group of British troops coming down towards Concord. I stepped out with my musket already aimed and shot. I watched as the man I had just shot fell to the ground. As soon as it fell, the whole group was aiming at me. I instantly ran back farther away from the soldiers. While running, I was thinking about what I had just done. I wasn't proud of it, but I'm not really ashamed either. I know how horrible it has been, what I did. I know how horrible it is, but it has to be done. The battle ended, and amazingly, we won. We were down about 200 men at the start, but we pulled it off anyway. We had a couple of wounded people set to go back to a doctor in their towns. One of the injured men was the guy from my militia who taught me how to shoot a musket. I'll never forget what happened in this battle, even if I quit and become a doctor like my father wants to be. Now that we can go back to Boston, I can finally spend some time being an adult.
Cash award, your badge.